My God, that's real technology right there. All right.
It doesn't sound like a bear's voice. It should go, no, McLaren.
What happens if there is an actual Craig and you're just telling Craig to join? You know?
Well, Craig would be pretty popular, wouldn't he?
Craig would be I'm changing my name.
It's like Craig. Hey, Craig. What you doing, Craig?
Come on, Craig. All right. Let's get into this. Let me jump onto the talking topics. Am I hosting or you hosting?
You're hosting. It's your baby.
Shit. Oh, it's
You
my
do
baby.
that.
All right. Let's get into it. Hello, people. This is the awkward part where we need to introduce ourselves, introduce the fabulous HorrorCast. I believe that's the title. The fabulous HorrorCast with me, your host, Adam Plank. That's Plank. And my wonderful I'm gonna say you're a co-host. Let's say you're a co-host. Is introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Miss Understood. And that's my name also, funnily enough.
Yes, her parents were angry nihilists.
They were just drunk at the time and they couldn't figure out what to call me.
Well, they understood how this world works. All right, well, this is the horror podcast, the place for horror, the place for to jump into some real spookums. You know what I'm saying? Some real spooky stuff. But you know what? I know, real spookum. Before we get into it, let's pretend that we didn't just spend the good part of an hour trying to get into the Discord server to record, and let's say, "Hi, Misunderstood. How have you been this week?"
Pretty good. I'm so tech savvy now that I can troubleshoot all these things, and I think I should charge by the hour.
Dude, it was absolutely flawless. We got on here and it was like, boom, we were done. We were straight into it.
We're pros. Don't worry about that.
There was no fucking around. In fact, Dragon J, if you can hear us in editing, whatever you're paying us now, I want you to double it because we're professionals.
Yeah, right, quadruple it, please.
Oh, absolutely. Whatever you're paying us now, jump into your calculator and times it by 200,000.
I'm going to retire.
All right. Well, today's wonderful topic is about unexpected horror. It's all those
That was
things.
so unexpected.
Oh, it was so actually talking about unexpected horror. Let's talk about how shit Discord is. Fuck Discord.
Dude, you shouldn't be saying that. He went, dude, you're going to get in trouble for that.
Okay, he can edit it. Surely he can edit it.
Yeah, but I think, I don't know.
What are they gonna do? Fire me? Duck my pay? Every time I swear or say something he doesn't like, he can cut my pay by half. All right, we're talking about unexpected horror, and it's all about the scary stuff that it's not really that scary. I mean, we deal with all types of horror from day-to-day life, but it goes, compared to horror films. But you know what? They're still scary. Internet, childhood, milk, vegans, all those ugly things that build our communities, and we just dismiss them, but really they're terrifying. So let's get into this unexpected horror. So the first question, oh, I know. Do you want to do some theme music for that?
Yeah, I'm the sound effects lady.
Go for it. Unexpected horror. My God.
That was unexpected horror.
Oh, it was terribly unexpected and horrific. So we're going to talk about, firstly, the scariest part of some things that are not really that scary. And to start the ball rolling, we're going to talk about this.
Them then? Why are we talking about them if they're not really scary?
Because everything's scary. I mean, like, you got to think. I think it's just because we're so we're what's the word? something.
Desensitized.
I'm blank. That's the one.
Desensitized.
Desensitized. We're desensitized to these things, but they are terrifying, you know? And the first question is, what's the scariest part of the internet? Now, the internet is not necessarily scary because, you know, anybody who's born, 1995 onwards probably has grown up with the internet shoved down their throats. But,
Mm.
you know, it is a terrifying place. So what's the scariest part of the internet misunderstood?
Oh, there's lots of things that are actually scary, I think. In terms of your identity and what you're doing, it's scary because all of your information gets sold off to the highest, well, not the highest bidder, just to anyone who has any money. And then the unknown of, because I remember hearing a story where people could turn your cameras on remotely and all of that. So I'd always have a sticky note over my camera on the, and you know, I really want to go on one of those dark web servers, but to find it, I would have to Google dark web. And I think I would have, I think I would raise a few flags there, so I'm too scared to do it. But that sounds pretty fascinating.
Yeah, privacy is a terrible thing on the internet. It really wasn't meant to be. I mean, the internet really doesn't care about privacy. It's not really the main concern. I mean, we're all here to, like you said, go on the dark web and buy illicit substances. I mean,
Buy some fentanyl.
exactly. You know, that's what the internet's made for. Privacy, identity. Who gives a shit when you can be high as shit and, you know, watching cats play the piano or something.
Yeah,
But
but the thing is, it's a portal to everything that we do every single day. So to dig holes and tunnel through all of that, steal our stuff, is just, that's friggin' scary.
Well, I think the internet, you know, I would probably agree with that. Privacy is probably the scariest part, or at least maintaining your privacy online has been a bit of a problem, especially when you're, you know, I think everybody's part of a social media of some kind, and they're going to take a photo of your face. I mean, it's hard not to sound like a conspiracy theorist when you talk about this shit, but, you know, we've all got our faces online. We all have some sort of personal documentation online, and it's probably not a good thing. But my biggest concern with the internet is probably the fact that we rely on it way too much. You know, we're as people, we are just so, again, anybody born, you know, mid-90s onwards has probably been brought up with the internet being this almost like a robotic arm that we can't get away from. And to take your arms away, you'd be you'd be a little bit taken back. You'd have to learn how to kind of function with life again. So I think that the reliance on the internet, and, you know, who knows what the internet's gonna, you know, what's going to happen. So I think it's difficult. Technology in general, probably just something that we need to learn how to live without. But yeah, we're not going to.
No, I don't think that's going to happen. Definitely, I think with the internet, I would have to learn how to read a mailways or a map, and
Oh, that's literally what I was thinking. I would be absolutely wrecked without my, like, Google Maps or whatever it is.
I wouldn't go anywhere. You know, I remember, like, I used to get so stressed out on the roads if I didn't know where I was going. Imagine without Google Maps. I mean, I'd die. I mean, I struggle. Hang on, it goes when it tells you to head north, south, east, or west. I'm like, I don't fucking know which way that is, and you're not telling me. So I just figure, oh, I'm going up the wrong way because the little arrow's not going up the correct line on the map, and then I turn around.
Exactly right. Exactly right. You know, we are totally reliant on this thing, and that's a fantastic, fantastic reality we're born into. I love it.
I know, and I wouldn't get my food either because they wouldn't have Google Maps, and they can't find my house with Google Maps. So, I mean, yeah, I'd be starving, and I'd be a hermit because I would never go anywhere.
I mean, but that's the other thing. I use a digital bank. I don't even have a bank that has a
Ooh,
storefront. So if
ooh,
the internet just decided to cark itself, all my money would be pretty much gone.
I know mine's gone already, so that's okay.
Okay, you're ahead of the tragedy.
I am. Yes, it is a tragedy. That's for sure.
Oh, that's lovely. Okay, well, on to the next wonderful thing. What's the scariest part? This is going to be such a sad episode. Like I can
What?
already tell. What's the
You reckon?
well? It's we're not even. I mean, I think there is a thing on horror movies in here, but did you hear the honk?
Yeah,
No,
I think I did.
I just moved, guys. This is off topic. Maybe it's on topic, but I just moved, and man, did I
And
pick
you
the wrong?
farted a honk.
I did fart a honk. Straight
Oh.
up fart that honk. But I moved into this. It's okay. I think the walls are a bit thin, so I can hear my next door neighbor. I can hear the traffic. Yeah, I made the mistake. I'm living with it. Or I could just break the lease and walk out. Who gives a shit? I'm free.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I looked into that too, actually. I hate where I live.
it's difficult. I mean, especially when they give you like 10 minutes. Actually, let's ask the next question, then we'll get on to this. What's the scariest part of adulthood?
Just being an adult, I think,
Mm.
is scary. So often I turn around and think, oh shit, I better act like an adult now. Does this mean I'm an adult? You
Have you
know,
got
like
have you got the certification? The card?
I'm like, well, it's coming via the internet and it hasn't yet, so fucking hell. Yeah, I know. And maybe like a mortgage and just being responsible. I know that sounds ridiculous and immature, but um
I don't
I,
think so. I think it's pretty reasonable to be scared of like responsibility, especially when I think that responsibility today or adulthood today is not even the same as it was 50 years ago. I mean, it was harder in some respects back then, but today
mm,
we've got all types of stupid shit to worry about that doesn't even matter.
yeah, but you think it matters.
Mm.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. I think in some ways I wouldn't want to be a woman back in the olden days, like in the 50s or 60s, but um yeah, just because I don't know. Have you ever had a job that you just really hated and you just walked out on it? Like you can't do
Yeah.
that when you're an adult. You can't go to lunch and not come back if you've got a mortgage and,
Mm.
rugrats and things like that. I think
Yeah,
that's kind of scary.
that is absolutely true. I mean, the whole everything is so warped when you get to a certain age. Again, I just moved into a shithole. I
But it's your
backtracked. Yeah,
shithole, Adam,
yeah.
you
I,
know?
I I backtracked on that a little bit. I originally said it was okay. I'm now making the statement. This place is shit. And half the reason it's shit is because you go to a real estate and you say, "Hi, I'm looking for a place," and they say, "Yeah, you can come to this address at this time, and you can spend 5 minutes and loosely get an idea of what it's like." And then you
Yeah.
stay there the first night. You're like, "Oh, right, I got thin walls and terrible neighbors. Fantastic."
Yeah. Terrible
You know,
neighbors now, that's scary as well. Like,
oh, absolutely.
I mean, I live in a shithole, but my neighbors are great.
Mm,
Um, like I do some like I'll have the music going pretty loud out the back during summer, I had it all going and they could have complained, but they didn't. But I'd turn it off at 9 or 10 maybe. But
yeah,
I
yeah.
would do it every single night nearly.
Oh, that I mean, again, I think restraints on people being of today, like the actual restraints on a human's freedom, are totally different. Obviously, it's respectful to turn your music down at some point, but I don't think people today, when they hit a certain age, they kind of die without dying, if you know what I mean. I remember.
Yeah.
I mean, I talk to my parents and I say, "Oh, what were you doing at my age?" And they were like, "Whatever we wanted." We were
Really?
oh, yeah, they were like, "We just fucked around, we had no responsibility." They're shocked that me and my brother are, like, actually trying to have a functional life because 'cause they're like, "God, at your age, we were just going along for the ride. There was, get a house, go out partying, fuck it, who gives a shit? Have a
Mm.
job. And it was different back then. I mean, I think my uncle got his job from just working with his dad, and then he bought a business and he worked with, in that business, but he really had no qualifications for it.
Mm.
And now that same job is, you'd have to go through just about every test to get a position as the person who buys coffee in that same, that same industry.
Well, yeah, I think soon you'll need a degree to go and work at McDonald's soon. They keep
Mm.
implementing education in areas that they should be probably spending it somewhere else. But yeah, things are getting way more difficult. Same thing. My mum was telling me, if I didn't like a job, I'd just go get another one because there'd be another one there. I mean, she's not qualified at anything either, but I guess employment rates would be different, but then population was, and
Yeah. But I mean, it is, I think there's a constricted kind of regulation on how people are, allowed to do stuff or even, gain a living. It's become really difficult to actually have an adulthood that's worth living, without pulling your hair out and fucking collapsing. Not to say that
yeah,
it was easier back then, way back in the black and white days, but
when they
um
dreamed black and white.
but
Oh,
it was different and harder in a different way, but now we're in this, I don't know how to describe it. It's difficult in a very restricted way.
I think could you, well, because each generation says that. Can you imagine what the next one will be thinking? God, they're going to be in a world of hell. I mean, they'll probably be living in Mars, or or we would have maybe mined the moon and we'd all die.
Got all that sweet,
Can you believe they want to do that? Mine the moon.
what, for like water or something, wasn't that the
No,
plan?
some rock that's it, you know what? It's actually very similar to Avatar. The Office Johnny, who's got that rock that's sort of suspended in midair, and like 1 centimeter of it can power, you
Hmm.
know, half a country for 2 years or something. Yeah, and it's worth it at an absolute mint. When the guy was describing it, that's exactly who he sounded like.
Oh, that's a normal fucking thing to happen.
But I know, and it's like you can't mind the moon, you idiots. Anyway, sorry, I'm digressing.
No, I
Anyway, just
mean,
have I don't mind the moon.
it's all relevant.
Because that's scary, man. That's
Yeah, it
scary.
is. It's terrifying. I mean, just the
Oh,
idea that we're going to leave this planet because we wrecked it. Honestly, that's why
yeah.
we're doing it. And then just, oh, we'll go to the next planet, wreck that one, and then hopefully we'll find another planet that can support our destruction.
Well, I love the way that that's a solution. Not let's just try and fix what we've got and we'll be right, and put in a term for longevity, and no, let's just fuck off and go somewhere else.
We're gonna be fine, people. You hear that, people? We're gonna be fine. All right. the next great and fabulously optimistic question is, what's the scariest part about high school? Everybody remembers high school, the glorious good old days filled with teenage angst and pimples. But what was the just the worst part of high school, the scariest part?
For me, I remember, I think the scariest part would have been kissing behind the schools hall after school, and like you just maybe had got yourself a boyfriend, and it was the first time, and I remember it. Like, I think I was having heart palpitations from, like, I don't know, 10 a.m. onwards, just thinking about it, and all I did was watch the clock. And yeah, I don't know, I was frightened to death. And then, you know what? We also go there was a whole bunch of the people, like, I think it was like every Friday or something. I don't know who organised that, but Then we found out that the the teacher's lunchroom was directly opposite and had the full windows in, and she was talking about it. She's going, yeah, we all watch and have a laugh and all that, and I nearly died. Like I inhaled and just deflated. I was so embarrassed.
That almost sounds like. I mean, so you're saying that you set up.
I didn't set it up. No, I don't know who did.
Okay. So you did. Somebody set up this whole kissing behind the school whole thing. That almost sounds cute. Come on.
What, you didn't do that?
No, I didn't.
Really?
No,
Well, you're probably getting laid in the hall somewhere, or that's what you kids do, don't you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm from Atherton, people. Don't know. We
Yeah,
classy.
it's like I got fingered and fucked up. And that was just during PE.
Yep. Yeah, we good and classy back there.
Oh, I got fingering.
It was our school motto. That's great. No, I think the scariest part of my high school experience was just it was kind of a like anger. It's kind of a mix between anger and fear for
What were you angry about? Oh,
the
sorry. The
What?
tea.
The teachers, you know.
I hate Mr. T too.
Yeah, he's horrible. That's the real
pitiful.
I wonder when he got fingered.
I think at a very young age.
Oh, okay. But you know, just my fear and anger kind of mixed into one about like the social climate of schools. I was really against it, you know. I was such a angsty nonconformist, and then they would go to school and they were like, oh, you got to wear black shoes and wear this ridiculous uniform and respect your teachers when they're coming to class half drunk or totally inefficient at their job. And I was just so fed up with that bullshit, but I was also scared to death from rebelling at that age because I didn't want to stick out. And it got to the point where I was just this weird long-haired guy who would sit in the art room and kind of avoid everyone and not do my work. Really kind of a weird turn. I remember some teachers treated me like a god because of it, and other teachers were like, what the fuck is this guy doing? And then as far as school was concerned, my social circle was so limited because I hated everybody and I was scared. Like, it was such a weird, angry, scared complex, you know, filled with the like teenage emotions, and it was as greasy as it can get. And there was this like whole throwback of like, where's my high school love? Is it because I'm so rebellious that I don't actually have like a social circle? What's going on? And yeah, it was messy. So as far as my high school fear, my scariest part was the social circles. You know,
Yeah.
I didn't dig them. I mean, did you have a clique? Were you part of a clique in high school?
No, I was always, I mean, kind of, I was always on the periphery of a lot of it. So I had friends. I was popular with like the popular group, I guess if you want to call it that. I was friends with them, but I'd also have friends outside of that as well. But I always did whatever the hell I wanted. Like at first, I guess, yeah, the first couple of years I was pretty insecure and stuff. But as I moved on, you know, and you become a little bit more confident in your own skin and all of that, that's
a good way to handle it. I think that the high school cliques are very weird, and I think every school had the same high school cliques, if you know what I mean.
Well, people are people though, aren't they? So like we all sort of, but I think it's a necessary learning experience, and I guess you're better off for it as well. The thing that is scary is like you think that it's the be all and end all of your entire life, and it's really not. I guess, and teachers have such an important role as well, you know, and some of them can really fuck it up, you know. I had some shocking teachers.
There are some. I mean, everybody has like so many bad teachers, and then there's like one. Like I very rarely you'll find a person who's like, oh, I had all good teachers and no bad ones. Like, but like very rarely you'll find that, and then so often you'll find people being like, I had a ton of shit teachers, but there was one golden person who was just so good. And did you have like a just an exceptional teacher that you could say is like 100% good teacher?
Yeah, I think I did. I did. I wasn't at school a lot, actually. I did wag a lot.
Yeah, good for you.
Yeah, I guess is that what the young kids call it these days? Wagging. I just didn't go, But I did when I had a good teacher. I realized how awful it was when I didn't have him. Do you know what I mean? Like that year, I kicked ass in that particular subject, and then the next year I didn't have him at all, and so I didn't put any effort in either.
That's fair.
It's weird, isn't it?
But honestly, overall, to summarize this, fuck school. Go if you want to wreck your life, rely on school. Seriously, if you want to get an education, get on the internet. Watch some YouTube. Go onto the dark web or something. Start a drug laundering money business. You don't need high school for that. That's my
There's
word.
no subject on that. Drug laundering 101. Okay, students, open your textbook too.
Exactly. you don't need an education for that, people. Go out, do it. Just need motivation. All right, next. Look, I'm gonna streamline this. I'm just gonna jump to the last question.
Just go for whatever you want.
Let's go with what's the scariest part of vegans. Let's talk about the vegan agenda.
Well, you're a vegan, aren't you?
Shh. They don't know that yet. that's the M. Night Shyamalan twist.
Oh, oops. Oh, I blew it.
Okay, but what's the scariest part about savages like myself?
Oh, nothing. I don't know.
Oh,
Feeling
come
guilty
on.
when you're around them, I guess, maybe. Getting that look, like, oh, you eat meat. No. I don't know. What's scary about them? Who wrote that stupid question?
I did, because I think I am scared death of vegans, because man, like, there's like, okay, this is where the question comes from in my personal kind of experience, because I don't necessarily call myself a vegan, because I think that the whole backing behind that movement has become more of a religion than a personal preference. If you were to once upon a time say, oh, I don't eat meat, I rely on vegetables, people would be like, oh, good for you, man. Fucking oath. Awesome. Now it's kind of like, oh, you might be a lunatic or a dangerous person because you might be one of those extremists. So I think the extremists have kind of tainted that whole dietary lifestyle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, but tell me some examples of an extremist.
An extremist, well,
that the general population would know about.
Oh, the general population would know about. I don't know about like famous people who are acting like assholes because they're vegan, but I think there's a.
So you're talking about stereotypes and.
Yeah, there's. Well, I knew this person. I'm not going to name names, and I hope they don't find this podcast.
Go on.
Name names. Come on, dox them. No, I knew this person, and look, they were so into the vegan lifestyle that they were. Well, firstly, they looked terribly malnourished, which was just a terrible thing for themselves, and it was because they were so far into this, and they weren't, I guess, financially well off. They were young, they were struggling. So, and a lot of vegan products are quite expensive. And so this person was really cutting corners on being vegan, but then also being an extremist on the other side and attacking everybody, like just absolutely wrecking anybody who wasn't living their lifestyle. And then combined with that, they had this mentality around like saving the world. And they were just so above everyone else, again, on that superiority kind of complex. And it all led to this point where I'm talking to this person and they reveal they just kind of drop the bomb that they don't flush their toilet for like a week because, you know, it wastes too much water and shit. And I guess it all kind of moved into the vegan kind of thing. I mean, talking to them about their lifestyle on vegans, and then they're like, oh, well, you know, it's saving the planet, blah, blah, blah. Which is fair. It's doing a great job doing, you know, for what it is. But then just to drop that, oh, and I only flushed the toilet once a week, and my boyfriend left me because he couldn't deal with
I didn't flush the toilet.
he couldn't deal with the small apartment I live in because I live on a budget, and a toilet that's in my studio apartment that is just filling the house with toxic fumes. And I thought, well, at that point, it's, you know, maybe you should just flush the toilet. I don't want to be that guy. Like, or like, figure out a better system for not using water instead of using the toilet in the first place. Like, I'm sure there's some sort of drop pit that you can use or something. Like, there needs to be a way around this. But her mentality was completely warped and formed into, like, this was a very unique character as far as being a little bit blindsided to a lot of different things. And I met people who are passionate about their preference to be vegan, and I've met people who are passionate about environmental, you know, subjects, but that was an extreme case that was toxic almost. You know, it was really difficult to be around them because everything was tarnished by her preference, which was turning into what I would call a very, very religious ideal. And it scared me. I'm going to relate it back to the initial question. It scared me.
I think that smell would scare anybody, wouldn't it? I mean,
absolutely.
So that would have meant that she probably didn't wash her clothes either, because
I'd say, yeah,
there's a lot of water there. Because I was thinking, well, you could use the laundry and you could dunk the water in that in the
I
toilet.
mean, you can. There's a lot of things that.
But she's, you know, it's fair enough, like to be that way. But she needs to go and move to Nimbin or
She was
Ballarat.
Well, that's the thing. She shots at Ballarat.
I don't know. No, I love Ballarat.
Look, yeah, Ballarat's actually pretty good. Anybody who's been to Ballarat, good
We
on
love
you.
you, Ballarat.
Absolutely. But look, I think that extremist mentality in any fashion that are unwilling to, I guess, adopt a slightly different lifestyle. I mean, not even adopt a slightly different lifestyle, but just kind of think about how to solve problems a bit more effectively.
Well, see, I would just not talk to that person and not have them in my life. Like, you know, if you're no good value, then go away. You know, so that wouldn't scare me. I would just go, see ya.
Yeah, that's very true. That's very true. I guess it all just comes down to how much you want to be around these people. You know?
Yeah, see, I wouldn't.
That's true. Okay, well, we've agreed. Don't go near. Don't go near.
I'll just be like, see ya.
Yep, that's fair
Bye,
enough.
Felicia.
All right. So this has been a lot of fun. Let's get into the next thing, which is nostalgia or horror. We are talking about things in our childhood, which maybe you remember with fondness, but you also think, wow, that actually was crazy horrible. That was just the worst. So, what TV show or movie from your childhood gave you trauma?
Oh, trauma. Okay.
Like anything that you look back on, you're like, wow, that was actually terrifying. And as a young age, I mean, let's broaden it a little bit more. What's something just in general from your childhood that I guess you feel was
that's how.
Yeah, go on.
Well, why? Okay, so we used to walk around a lot at night, and
Mm.
you know, I could have been kidnapped and God knows what. Like I would walk home from work sometimes to save money rather than getting, you know, a taxi or an Uber or something. Like that's pretty. I don't know. That's pretty scary. You can't really do stuff like that
Mm.
often. I
The
think.
wo- yeah, the world has changed in that. I think security on that level has really picked up.
Oh, and someone would invite you out, and you would just say you went for a walk and you'd meet some kid, and they would, hey, come back to my place and play, and you'd just go. And
Mm.
you know, God knows, you know, what you could be walking into, and that's all I could really kind of think of. My TV shows, I don't know. No, I
Like,
can't think of any TV shows that.
well, for me, even if it wasn't, it was a little bit before my time. But I remember watching. It must have been. I'm gonna say it was Disney Channel. I was pretty
Mm.
young. I must have been like,
Hannah
I don't know.
Montana, that's scary.
That is absolutely terrifying. And even more terrifying, the kids who grew up watching that shit. You look at them and you're like, oh my god, what's going on here?
Oh, they've all got dual personalities.
Oh yeah, crazy. They're just trying to figure out what reality is actually, every
Yeah.
day. But for me, it was watching Disney Channel. What I think was the Disney Channel. It was supposed to have been about 5 or 6 years old, and the usual shit's playing. It's normal, pretty low, laid back Disney crap. And then they play The Labyrinth. And now I had never seen The Labyrinth at that time in my life. And it was just me. Maybe my brother was there. And for the most part, The Labyrinth was fairly, kid friendly. But there's just a few select moments that were just really full on, especially like, have you seen The Labyrinth?
I'm just looking it up now because I'm sure I have.
With David Bowie and his incredible crutch piece?
Yes. Um, I remember didn't it come out around no, no, no. I remember
Must have been.
the Never Ending Story with the Luck Dragon. I like that film.
Yeah, so that's a good one.
Yeah, 1986 it came out.
Yeah, it was a little bit before my time, but I mean,
I think I don't remember it, but yeah, but that hairdo is pretty scary. Was it his eye that got you scared?
no, there's just one segment, and I think people have really mm, talked about it, like a lot on the internet have kind of analyzed this one moment in the film, which shows these puppets dancing, and they're all pulling each other's heads off and shit, and chucking it around, and and it is quite, when you're watching the Disney Channel and they're playing all this G-rated garbage, and then that pops up, and you're like 5 or 6 years old, and you're watching it, you're going, "Whoa, what is this psychedelic '80s puppetry shit that's invading my television right now?" You're kind of taken back and put on edge by it. Even and I mean, it wasn't that scary, and even looking back, it's not that scary now. But I mean, at the time, I was like, "Dude, it is way too late for this shit." You know?
Yeah. I
So
remember seeing a zombie film and I wouldn't shower for, I reckon, a week. My mum would try and drag me in because there's a woman who got killed. Do you remember I don't know if you've seen Zombie Flesh Eaters.
no, I
Um,
haven't seen that.
oh, my auntie was right. She's right into horror films, and so she'd always have a bunch lying around. Back when you could hide them from the video store, and like I was really young, and this woman gets sort of dragged through the she's in the shower, the zombie like punches through the window and kind of like drags her through, and I would have nightmares, and I'm not having a shower, I'm not having a shower, and mum would crack the nannies at me. Oh yeah, I wouldn't.
Yeah,
I was so frightened.
yeah. Kids are great like that. They're kind of just so scared that you can't perform basic hygiene. It's
Yeah.
great. But another great one was, I remember my parents being kind of like against watching too much crap television. So they would be like, "All right, if you're gonna watch television, watch the History Channel or Discovery Channel or something like that."
Mm.
And so we'd watch this, and one night when they told us like, "Oh, watch something on the History or Discovery Channel," and it played like a huge documentary on Chupacabra. You know what chupacabra is?
Yes,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
And when
They're
you're
just
at
basic. Yeah.
yeah, well, when this like, I mean, it's folklore. It's this weird creature that sucks goats to death, and not in like a sexual way, and kind of like a demented vampire way.
Oh, that would be so much fun sucking your
Yeah,
goat off. Hey guys, don't get turned on right now. We're talking sexy.
and you know, that's at when you're pretty young and you're watching the History Channel that usually plays, you know, they're talking about ancient Egypt or how this building was built in New York or something, and you're just like, oh, this is all fact, this is all reality, this is normal. And then it's like, oh, today's episode we're going to teach you about this weird creature that kills goats in Mexico. And you are at that age, you're kind of like, wait, this is on a documentary network. Is this real? And man, that fucked me up for a good, week. I was scared, man. I didn't even live in Mexico. I was just I just assumed that
What?
I was gonna get got by the chupacabra.
Yeah, I've seen the reports of them being just like recent ones, last 10, 20 years, whatever, and they end up being feral dogs and things.